Before we get started, I just want to let everyone know that I'm still recovering from being really sick last week, so if my voice sounds at all a little different, that's probably why. But with that said, let's get into the video. Bro, they could have easily given Godzilla the best crab whale you have ever seen. Ebirah Horror of the Deep was directed by... Now, hold on a minute here, let me get my glasses. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, no, this can't be. It says Ebirah was directed by Jun Fukuda? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. For the first time here in the Showa era, we are getting Fukuda-san at the helm, having spent more than 10 years at Honda-san's side throughout the Showa era, and for the first time ever, we have Fukuda-san taking over. Despite this change in director though, we are still getting Shinichi Sekizawa in the writing seat, but as for composing, we are getting Masuro Sato's crack at Godzilla, having this be his first official foray into the Godzilla universe with many to come after. Despite some new faces behind the camera though, we are still getting some very familiar faces in front of it, seeing names like Akira Tadaka, Kumi Mizuno, Akiko Hirata, Dunta Sakai, and as always, Haru Nakajima, all making returns in this film. Despite that though, we are also getting some new faces that will return in later films as well, such as Totaro Togen, Hideo Sunozuka, and Toro Ibuki. You know, I'm really interested in what Toho was paying these actors or how they were being treated, because it says a lot when you have actors that return to your franchise again and again, despite it only being for a few installments for some, but it's still very cool. If anyone has any knowledge about that, drop it down below. I'm very interested to hear. With that being said though, what's this film about? Well, if I had to put it into one word, I think it would be slavery. But if I had to put it into three words, it would be slavery, terrorism, and crap. All jokes aside though, Ebirah Horror of the Deep is about a terrorist organization called the Red Bamboo. Not only have they enslaved the natives of Infant Island on their base located on Devil Island, a very fitting name for a very evil group, but their end goal is to harvest heavy water for evil things, in addition to a chemical that keeps Ebirah in the bay here on Devil Island as a means of control. Evidently, a party of heroes escape their grasp, stumble upon a sleeping Godzilla in one of the caves, and looking to use him as a means to fight back, breaking free and bringing an end to the Red Bamboo. Not only is this plot pretty simple, but it's really easy to understand. Bad guys are doing bad things, so we need to take them down. So, with that being said, let's get into it. There is a lot that I love in this movie. So many ideas are presented in this film and I actually enjoy them, with one of them being the use of the Infant Island people. For many films now, I have been really enjoying the lore that continues to expand on Infant Island, both in its history and the role it plays in the world as a whole. It's so cool to see an island of people that possess a native kaiju with godlike powers, and the role that they play in the world of Godzilla. I was always so curious as to how they weren't sought after more in this universe. We really see that happen about twice throughout these films, both in Mothra and in Mothra vs. Godzilla, but it doesn't happen again until here. Now, to be fair, we usually see the aftermath of the effects that man has, creating this uneasy relationship between the native people of Japan and those on Infant Island, with Mothra always having to be the bigger kaiju and continue to aid in humanity with its defensive endeavors. However, I'm surprised that up until this point the military has not tried to invade the island further. Being as humanity is, I could definitely see that happening. However, here we get something similar to that, and instead of an invasion we get the Red Bamboo using the people of Infant Island as a workforce. Not only do I like this idea from a lore perspective, not from a principle one, slavery is not okay, but if it's looked upon further, we could probably rationalize that the Red Bamboo is also doing this to draw attention away from mainland Japan, not using anyone from there as to not draw attention to what they're doing. It's evil and very fitting for our new organization, but it also works from a world building perspective as well, and I thought that detail was really thought out. I also really love Ebirah in this film too. He's very simple, both as a kaiju and from a design perspective, but I think that's what makes him work so well. We just spent 2 films messing around in space and with one of the best designed villains that the Showa era has seen so far. So to bring it back down to something simple is refreshing and easy to digest. Not only is his theme kick-ass and cool as fuck, I mean, listen to this. But what makes it stick out is that it's so different from anything that we've ever heard. It's more of a 1960s cool surfer theme than it is a kaiju theme. Far out, man. I also love the giant lobster design too. It's so different and simple that it sticks out so much among the litany of strange creatures that we have seen and will see throughout the Showa era. Usually most of the kaiju we encounter are mutated prehistoric dinosaurs or some sort of alien kaiju creature. However, Ebirah is just a big lobster. And I love it. He also feels unnerving and creepy as fuck. I mean, look at his eyes. It makes me wonder if the art team from Elden Ring, when they were designing their lobsters, used Ebirah as inspiration. I think it'd be so cool if they did. I fucking hate those lobsters, I swear to God. Another thing that seems to be inspirational too is the whole set in itself. Because to me, and I don't know if anyone else got this perspective as well, but the set looks super cool and definitely feels like a very, very early rendition of Star Wars' Death Star. Not in a one-to-one rendition, but the notes are definitely there. I'm not sure if George Lucas or the whole Star Wars team, I guess, as a whole took inspiration from this film, but the lab interior definitely looks like it could have been an inspiration for the interior of the Death Star at some points. Lastly, I really love Akira Taraka in this film too. I mean, I always love him, but here, his presence and his role that he's playing really stand out. Not only is this role different from all the ones that he's played before, but he stands out far and apart from those as well. Additionally, he really sticks out as a de facto leader of this group, having a presence as a character and as an actor, which I really loved. With that being said though, what are some of the things that I think could have been improved upon? Because there are definitely things that I did not enjoy. Firstly, one of the biggest ones that fall into this category is this movie's placement in the series. Given that we've been with the Ghidorah phase, as I like to call it, adventuring into space and exploring that front, this film takes a stern halt on that idea, going back to its roots in the kaiju movie department and making these kaiju feel more grounded on an Earth's surface and small problems in retrospect. It also feels very strange to see a complete 180 that this film takes, literally not having anything to do with what came before, or even acknowledging that fact at all. It feels more like this film came after Godzilla vs. Mothra more than anything. And on that note, I want to talk about something that I like to call the Infant Island and Mothra issue. So, firstly, you're telling me that the Red Bamboo were off on an island conducting experiments and kidnapping people from Infant Island and no one knows? Mothra hasn't done anything yet? Doesn't she know the status of her people and is connected to them in some spiritual way, not just the Shobijin? Also, why hasn't anyone on Infant Island relayed this message to mainland Japan? You'd think the Shobijin would say something to them given the history that they have with the mainland, but I don't think that that's ever happened. Furthermore, why is Mothra just dormant this entire time? Now, I get she's getting older and close to death by the standards that are set out in previous films and where she goes after this, but to have her people be taken willingly only to act now is a bit strange to me, seeing as Mothra protects her people above anything else has been established before. It just doesn't feel like the Mothra of old and is just a mishandling of the character to me. And it's not a ding here either, but more of a we'll see where it goes, but the Shobijin are new here too, having been recast as two new young actresses this time around. I grew really attached to the Peanuts and they had a wonderful presence as the Shobijin, so we'll see where these new actresses go. But lastly, I want to talk about Godzilla. Now, it pains me to say this, it really does, but I did not like Godzilla in this film. I know, I'm a villain, I know this is a Godzilla movie, but it felt like he was just here for convenience sake, being placed here as a get out of jail free card more than an actual player in the plot. If anything, this should have been a Mothra movie, and we know where that goes. His power set, also, if you can call it that, is super strange, being more reliant on throwing rocks in this movie more than anything else. And hey, maybe the budget wasn't there for effects, and I get that, but throwing rocks just seems so bizarre, and now it's a meme, so it's hilarious. His relationship with Mothra 2 is also strange, having it seem as though it's very combative at the end of the movie, despite each of them having mended their differences with the arrival of Ghidorah. I don't know. Godzilla felt like he was just treated as a throwaway, if he dies type of character, despite the Showa era clearly wanting to turn him into a hero in the previous films, but making him out to be a villain again here in this film. They just toss him aside and leave him to die on Devil Island, despite him making his narrow escape and when he was just napping 30 minutes earlier. It's a big whiplash feel in terms of tone with Godzilla, and I know that continues for a bit, so we'll see where it goes from here. But in this movie, it felt strange. With all that being said though, I'm putting this movie at a C tier, ahead of Godzilla Raids Again. I like the characters in that movie more, but the ideas and the plot itself that are presented in this movie are more enjoyable. It's not by a far margin, a very narrow one, and I couldn't really decide which one I wanted to put first, but I thought this one had a bit of a better plot, so C tier it goes. But with that, I'm closing up the shop. Thank you all for stopping by and having a cup. Let me know what you thought about this film and how you feel about some points that I brought up. From here, the Showa era gets a little bit strange for a bit, and I'm really interested to see what the others think as we continue moving forward. However, as always, I'm looking forward to seeing where these kaiju and their stories go down the road. Once again, thank you for stopping by, and remember, take life one cup at a time. I'll see you guys later.